Thursday, the 16th of June, 1904. The Martello Tower, Sandy Cove, Dublin Bay. 8 o'clock in the morning.
Stately, plump Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead, bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and a razor lay crossed. A yellow dressing gown, ungirdled, was sustained gently behind him on the mild morning air. He held the bowl aloft and intoned, "Intro ibo ad altari Dei." Halted, he peered down the dark winding stairs. "Come up, Kinch, come up, you fearful Jesuit." Then, catching sight of Stephen Dedalus, he bent towards him and made rapid crosses in the air, gurgling in his throat and shaking his head. "For this, O dearly beloved, is the genuine Christine, body and soul and blood and uns. Slow music, please." The plump shadowed face and sullen oval jowl recalled a prelate, patron of the arts in the Middle Ages. A pleasant smile broke quietly over his lips. "The mockery of it! Your absurd name, an ancient Greek." Stephen Dedalus stepped up, followed him wearily halfway, and sat down on the edge of the gun rest. "My name is absurd, too. Malachi Mulligan. 2 dactyls. But it has a Hellenic ring, hasn't it? Tripping and sunny like the Buck himself. We must go to Athens. Will you come if I can get the aunt to fork out 20 quid? "Tell me, Mulligan," Stephen said quietly. "Yes, my love?" "How long is Haines going to stay in this tower?" Buck Mulligan showed a shaven cheek over his right shoulder. "God, isn't he dreadful? A ponderous Saxon. He thinks you're not a gentleman. God, these bloody English. Bursting with money and indigestion because he comes from Oxford. You know, Dedalus, you have the real Oxford manner. He can't make you out. Oh, my name for you is the best. Kinch, the knife blade." He shaved warily over his chin. "He was raving all night about a Black Panther," Stephen said. "Where is his gun case?" "A woeful lunatic," Mulligan said. "Were you in a funk?" "I was," Stephen said, with energy and growing fear. "You saved men from drowning. I'm not a hero, however. If he stays on here, I am off." Buck Mulligan frowned at the lather on his razor blade. He hopped down from his perch and began to search his trouser pockets hastily. "Scutter," he cried thickly. "Lend us the loan of your nose rag to wipe my razor." Stephen suffered him to pull out and hold up on show by its corner a dirty, crumpled handkerchief. Buck Mulligan wiped his razor blade neatly. "The Bard's nose rag. A new art colour for our Irish poets. Snot green. You can almost taste it, can't you?" He mounted to the parapet again and gazed out over Dublin Bay, his fair oak-pale hair stirring slightly. "The snot-green sea. The scrotum-tightening sea. Epe oinopa ponton. Ah, Dedalus, the Greeks. I must teach you. You must read them in the original. Thalata, Thalata. She is our great sweet mother." He turned abruptly his grey searching eyes from the sea to Stephen's face. "The aunt thinks you killed your mother," he said. "That's why she won't let me have anything to do with you." "Someone killed her," Stephen said. "You could have knelt down, damn it, Kinch, when your dying mother asked you. There's something sinister in you." He shaved evenly and with care, in silence, seriously. Stephen, an elbow rested on the jagged granite, leaned his palm against his brow and gazed at the fraying edge of his shiny black coat sleeve. Pain, that was not yet the pain of love, fretted his heart. Across the threadbare cuff edge he saw the sea hailed as a great sweet mother by the well-fed voice beside him. The ring of bay and skyline held a dull green mass of liquid. A bowl of white china had stood beside her deathbed, holding the green sluggish bile which she had torn up from her rotting liver by fits of loud groaning vomiting. Buck Mulligan wiped again his razor blade. "Ah, poor dog's body," he said in a kind voice. "I must give you a shirt and a few nose rags. How are the second-hand breeks?" I have a lovely pair with a hair stripe grey. You look spiffing in them. Thanks, Stephen said. I can't wear them if they're grey. He can't wear them, Buck Mulligan told his face in the mirror. Etiquette is etiquette. He kills his mother, but he can't wear grey trousers. He swept the mirror a half circle in the air to flash the tidings abroad in sunlight now radiant on the sea. Look at yourself, he said, you dreadful bard. Stephen bent forward and peered at the mirror held out to him, cleft by a crooked crack. Hair on end, as he and others see me. Who chose this face for me? This dog's body to rid of vermin? It asks me to. I pinched it out of the skivvy's room, Buck Mulligan said. It does her all right. The aunt always keeps plain-looking servants for Malachy. Lead him not into temptation. And her name is Ursula. Laughing again, he brought the mirror away from Stephen's peering eyes. The rage of Caliban at not seeing his face in a mirror, he said. If Wilde were only alive to see you. Drawing back and pointing, Stephen said with bitterness, It's a symbol of Irish art. The cracked looking-glass of a servant. Cracked looking-glass of a servant. Tell that to the oxy chap downstairs and touch him for a guinea. He's stinking with money and thinks you're not a gentleman. His old fellow made his tin by selling jalap to the Zulus or some bloody swindle or other. God, Kinch, if you and I could only work together, we might do something for the island. Hellenize it. Do you remember the first day I went to your house after my mother's death? Stephen said. Buck Mulligan frowned quickly and said, What? Where? I can't remember anything. I remember only ideas and sensations. Why? What happened in the name of God? You were making tea, Stephen said, and went across the landing to get more hot water. Your mother and some visitor came out of the drawing room. She asked you who was in your room. Yes, Buck Mulligan said. What did I say? I forget. You said, Stephen answered, Oh, it's only Daedalus, whose mother is beastly dead. A flush which made him seem younger and more engaging rose to Buck Mulligan's cheek. Did I say that? Well, what harm is that? He shook his constraint from him nervously. And what is death? He asked. Your mother's, or yours, or my own? You saw only your mother die. I see them pop off every day in the Mater and the Richmond and cut up into tripes in the dissecting room. It's a beastly thing and nothing else. Absurd. I suppose I did say it. I didn't mean to offend the memory of your mother. He had spoken himself into boldness. Stephen, shielding the gaping wounds which the words had left in his heart, said very coldly, I'm not thinking of the offence to my mother. Of what, then? Buck Mulligan asked. Of the offence to me, Stephen answered. Buck Mulligan swung round on his heel. Oh, an impossible person! He walked off quickly round the parapet. Stephen stood at his post, gazing over the calm sea towards the headland. Buck Mulligan's head halted for a moment at the top of the staircase, level with the roof. Don't mope over it all day, he said. I'm inconsequent. Give up the moody brooding. His head vanished, but the drone of his descending voice boomed out of the stairhead. And no more turn aside and brood upon love's bitter mystery, for Fergus rules the brazen cars. Fergus's song. I sang it alone in the house, holding down the long dark chords. Her door was open. She wanted to hear my music. Silent with awe and pity, I went to her bedside. She was crying in her bitter bed. For those words, Stephen, love's bitter mystery. Her eyes on me to strike me down. Liliata rutilantium te confessorum turma circumdet, jubilantium te virginium chorus excipiat. No, mother, let me be and let me live. Kinch, ahoy! Buck Mulligan's voice sang from within the tower. Daedalus, come down like a good mosey. Breakfast is ready. Haynes is apologizing for waking us last night. It's all right. His head reappeared. "I told Haynes your symbol of Irish art. He says it's very clever. Touch him for a quid, will you?" "I get paid this morning," Stephen said. "The school kip." "How much?" "4 quid." "4 shining sovereigns. We'll have a glorious drunk to astonish the druidy druids." In the gloomy domed living room of the tower, Buck Mulligan's gowned form moved briskly to and fro about the hearth, hiding and revealing its yellow glow. 2 shafts of soft daylight fell across the flagged floor from the high barbicans, and at the meeting of their rays a cloud of coal smoke and fumes of fried grease floated, turning. "We'll be choked," Buck Mulligan said. "Haynes, open that door, will you? Janie Mac, I'm choked." A tall figure rose from the hammock where it had been sitting and went to the doorway. The key scraped round harshly twice, and when the heavy door had been set ajar, welcome light and bright air entered. Haynes stood at the doorway looking out. Buck Mulligan tossed the fry onto the dish beside him. Then he carried the dish and a large teapot over to the table, set them down heavily, and sighed with relief. "I'm melting," he said, as the candle remarked when... "But hush. Not a word more on the subject. Haynes, come in. The grub is ready. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts. Where's the sugar? Oh, Jay, there's no milk." "We can drink it black," Stephen said. "There's a lemon in the locker." "Oh, damn you and your Paris fads. I want Sandy Cove milk." Haynes came in from the doorway and said quietly, "That woman is coming up with the milk." "The blessings of God on you," Buck Mulligan cried. He hacked at the fry on the dish and slapped it out on 3 plates, saying, "In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti." Haynes sat down to pour out the tea. "I'm giving you 2 lumps each," he said. "But I say, Mulligan, you do make strong tea, don't you?" Buck Mulligan, hewing thick slices from the loaf, said in an old woman's wheedling voice, "When I makes tea, as old Mother Grogan said. And when I makes water, I makes water." "Be gob, ma'am," says Mrs. Cahill. "God send you don't make them both in the one pot." The doorway was darkened by an entering form. "The milk, sir." "Come in, ma'am," Mulligan said. "Kinch, get the jug." An old woman came forward and stood by Stephen's elbow. "That's a lovely morning, sir," she said. "Glory be to God." "To whom?" Mulligan said, glancing at her. "Ah, to be sure." "How much, sir?" asked the old woman. "A quart," Stephen said. He watched her pour into the measure and thence into the jug, rich white milk, not hers. Old shrunken paps. She poured again a measureful and a tilly. Old and secret, she had entered from a morning world, maybe a messenger. She praised the goodness of the milk, pouring it out. Crouching by a patient cow at daybreak in a lush field, a witch on her toadstool, her wrinkled fingers quick on the squirting dugs. Buck Mulligan brought up a florin, twisted it round his fingers and cried, "A miracle!" He passed it along the table towards the old woman, saying, "Ask nothing more of me, sweet. All I can give you, I give." Stephen laid the coin in her uneager hand. "We'll owe 2pence, he said. "Time enough, sir," she said, taking the coin. "Time enough. Good morning, sir." She curtsied and went out, followed by Buck Mulligan's tender chant. "Heart of my heart, were it more, more would be laid at your feet." He turned to Stephen. "Is this the day for your monthly wash, Kinch?" "All Ireland is washed by the Gulf Stream," Stephen said, as he let honey trickle over a slice of the loaf. Haynes, from the corner where he was knotting easily a scarf about the loose collar of his tennis shirt, spoke. "I intend to make a collection of your sayings, if you will let me." Speaking to me. They wash and tub and scrub. Again bite of inwit. Remorse of conscience. Yet here's a spot. "Wait till you hear him on Hamlet, Haynes." "Well, I mean it," Haynes said. "Would I make any money by it?" Stephen asked. Haynes laughed, and as he took his soft grey hat from the holdfast of the hammock, said, "I don't know, I'm sure." He strolled out to the doorway. Stephen, taking his ash plant from its leaning place, followed them out, and as they went down the ladder, pulled to the slow iron door and locked it. He put the huge key in his inner pocket. Haines asked, "Do you pay rent for this tower?" £12, Buck Mulligan said. "To the Secretary of State for War," Stephen added, over his shoulder. They halted while Haines surveyed the tower and said at last, "Rather bleak in winter-time, I should say. Martello, you call it?" "Billy Pitt had them built," Buck Mulligan said, "when the French were on the sea. But ours is the omphalos, the belly button itself." "What is your idea of Hamlet?" Haines asked Stephen. "Is it some paradox?" "Pooh!" Buck Mulligan said. "We have grown out of wild and paradoxes. It's quite simple. He proves by algebra that Hamlet's grandson is Shakespeare's grandfather, and that he himself is the ghost of his own father. It's a wonderful tale," Haines said, bringing them to a halt. Eyes, pale as the sea, the wind had freshened. Paler, firm and prudent. The sea's ruler, he gazed southward over the bay, empty save for the smoke plume of the mailboat vague on the bright skyline, and a sail tacking by the Muglins. Buck Mulligan at once put on a blithe, broadly smiling face. He moved a doll's head to and fro, the brim of his Panama hat quivering, and began to chant in a quiet, happy, foolish voice. "I'm the queerest young fella that ever you heard. My mother's a Jew, my father's a bird. With Joseph the Joiner I cannot agree. So here's to disciples and Calvary." He held up a forefinger of warning. "If anyone thinks that I amn't divine, he'll get no free drinks when I'm making the wine, but have to drink water and wish it were plain that I make when the wine becomes water again." He tugged swiftly at Stephen's ash-plant in farewell, and running forward to a brow of the cliff, fluttered his hands at his sides like fins or wings of one about to rise in the air, Mercury's hat quivering in the fresh wind that bore back to them his brief bird-sweet cries. Haines, who had been laughing guardedly, walked on beside Stephen and said, "We oughtn't to laugh, I suppose. He's rather blasphemous. I'm not a believer myself, that's to say. Still, his gaiety takes the harm out of it somehow, doesn't it?" "What did he call it?" "Joseph the Joiner, the ballad of joking Jesus," Stephen answered. "Oh," Haines said. "You've heard it before, 3 times a day after meals." "You're not a believer, are you?" Haines asked. "I mean a believer in the narrow sense of the word. Creation from nothing, and miracles, and a personal God." "You behold in me," Stephen said with grim displeasure, "a horrible example of free thought." He walked on, waiting to be spoken to. "After all," Haines began. Stephen turned and saw that the cold gaze which had measured him was not all unkind. "After all, I should think you are able to free yourself. You are your own master, it seems to me." "I am a servant of 2 masters," Stephen said, "an English and an Italian." "Italian?" "The Imperial British State," Stephen answered, "and the Holy Roman Catholic and Apostolic Church." "I can quite understand that," Haines said calmly. "An Irishman must think like that, I dare say. We feel in England that we have treated you rather unfairly. It seems history is to blame." The proud, potent titles clanged over Stephen's memory, the triumph of their brazen bells. "Et unum sanctam catholicam et apostolicam ecclesiam." The slow growth and change of rite and dogma like his own rare thoughts, a chemistry of stars. 2 men stood at the verge of the cliff watching. Businessman, boatman. "She's making for Bullock Harbour." The boatman nodded. "There's 5 fathoms out there. It'll be swept up that way when the tide comes in about 1. The man that was drowned. A sail veering about the blank bay, waiting for a swollen bundle to bob up, roll over to the sun, a puffy face, salt white. "Here I am." They followed the winding path down to the creek. Buck Mulligan stood on a stone in shirt sleeves, his unclipped tie rippling over his shoulder. A young man clinging to a spur of rock near him moved slowly frogwise, his green legs in the deep jelly of water. "Is the brother with you, Malachy?" "Down in Westmeath with the Bannons," Still there. I got a card from Bannon. Says he found a sweet young thing down there. Photo girl, he calls her. Snapshot, eh? Brief exposure. Buck Mulligan struggled out of his shirt and flung it behind him to where his clothes lay. Haines sat on a stone, smoking. "Are you not coming in?" Buck Mulligan asked. "Later on," Haines said. "Not on my breakfast." Stephen turned away. "I'm going, Mulligan," he said. "Give us the key, Kinch," Buck Mulligan said, "to keep my chemise flat." Stephen handed him the key. "And twopence," he said, "for a pint. Throw it here." Stephen threw the 2 pennies on the soft heap. "We'll see you again," Haines said, turning as Stephen walked up the path and smiling at Wild Irish. Horn of a bull, hoof of a horse, smile of a Saxon. "The ship," Buck Mulligan cried. 12:30. "Good," Stephen said. He walked along the upward curving path. His mother's funeral. Liliata rutilantium, turma circumdet, jubilantium te virginium. I will not sleep here tonight. Home also I cannot go.
Seven Eccles Street, Dublin. Thursday, the 16th of June, 1904. 8 o'clock in the morning.
Mr. Leopold Bloom ate with relish the inner organs of beasts and fowls. He liked thick giblet soup, nutty gizzards, a stuffed roast heart, liver slices fried with breadcrumbs, fried hen cod's roes. Most of all, he liked grilled mutton kidneys, which gave to his palate a fine tang of faintly scented urine. Kidneys were on his mind as he moved about the kitchen softly, writing her breakfast things on the humpy tray. Gelid light and air were in the kitchen, but out of doors gentle summer morning everywhere. Made him feel a bit peckish. The coals were reddening. Another slice of bread and butter. 3, 4, right. She didn't like her plate full, right. He turned from the tray, lifted the kettle off the hob, and set it sideways on the fire. It sat there, dull and squat. Its spout stuck out. Cup of tea soon. Good. Mouth dry. The cat walked stiffly round a leg of the table with tail on high. Meow. "Oh, there you are," Mr. Bloom said, turning from the fire. "Milk for pussins," he said. "Meow," the cat cried. On quietly creaky boots, he went up the staircase to the hall. Thin bread and butter she likes in the morning. Still, perhaps, once in a way. He said softly in the bare hall, "I'm going round the corner. Be back in a minute." And when he had heard his voice say it, he added, "You don't want anything for breakfast?" A sleepy soft grunt answered, The loose brass quoits of the bedstead jingled. Must get those settled, really. Pity she brought it all the way from Gibraltar. Forgotten any Spanish she knew. Wonder what her father gave for it. Hard as nails at a bargain, old Major Tweedy. "Yes, sir, I rose from the ranks, sir, and I'm proud of it." His hand took his hat from the peg. He peeped quickly inside the leather headband. White slip of paper, quite safe. On the doorstep he felt in his hip pocket for the latch key. Not there. In the trousers I left off. Must get it. Potato I have. Creaky wardrobe. No use disturbing her. The sun was nearing the steeple of George's church. Be a warm day, I fancy. Especially in these black clothes, feel it more. Black conducts, reflects. Refracts, is it, the heat? He approached Larry O'Rourke's. From the cellar grating floated up the flabby gush of porter. Bald head over the blind. Cute old codger. No use canvassing him for an ad. Still, he knows his own business best. Stop and say a word about the funeral, perhaps. Sad thing about poor Dignam, Mr. O'Rourke. "Good day, Mr. O'Rourke. Good day to you. Lovely weather, sir. 'Tis all that." He halted before Dugatch's window, staring at the hanks of sausages, polonies black and white. A kidney oozed blood guts on the willow-patterned dish. The last. He stood by the next-door girl at the counter. His eyes rested on her vigorous hips. Strong pair of arms. Whacking a carpet on the clothesline, she does whack it, by George, the way her crooked skirt swings at each whack. He took a page up from a pile of cut sheets. The model farm at Kinneret on the lake shore of Tiberias can become ideal winter sanatorium. The pork butcher snapped 2 sheets from the pile, wrapped up her prime sausages, and made a red grimace. "Thank you, my miss, and 1 shilling 3 change. For you, please?" Mr. Bloom pointed quickly, to catch up and walk behind her moving hams, pleasant to see first thing in the morning. 3 pence, please. His hand accepted the moist, tender gland and slid it into a side pocket. He walked along Dorset Street, reading gravely. Agendath Nitayim, Planters' Company. To purchase waste, sandy tracts from Turkish government and plant with eucalyptus trees. Excellent for shade, fuel, and construction. Orange groves and immense melon fields north of Jaffa. You pay 18 marks and they plant a dunam of land for you with olives, oranges, almonds, or citrons. Bleistroystrasse 34, Berlin, West 15. Silver-powdered olive trees, quiet long days, pruning, ripening. Olives are packed in jars, eh? I have a few left from Andrew's. Molly spitting them out, knows the taste of them now. A cloud began to cover the sun, slowly, wholly, grey, far. A barren land, bare waste, volcanic lake, the Dead Sea, no fish, weedless, sunk deep in the earth. Sodom, Gomorrah, Edom, all dead names. A dead sea in a dead land, grey and old. It bore the oldest, the first race, the oldest people. Wandered far away over all the earth, captivity to captivity, multiplying, dying, being born everywhere. It lay there now. Now it could bear no more. Desolation. Grey horror seared his flesh. Folding the page into his pocket, he turned into Eccles Street, hurrying homeward. 2 letters and a card lay on the hall floor. He stooped and gathered them. Mrs. Marion Bloom. His quickened heart slowed at once. Bold hand. Mrs. Marion Bloom. "Poldy!" Entering the bedroom, he half closed his eyes and walked through warm yellow twilight towards her tousled head. "Who are the letters for?" He looked at them. Mullingar, Millie. "A letter for me from Millie and a card for you. And a letter for you." Letting the blind up by gentle tugs halfway, his backward eyes saw her glance at the letter and tuck it under her pillow. "Hurry up with that tea," she said. "I'm parched." "The kettle's boiling," he said. On the boil, sure enough, a plume of steam from the spout. He scalded and rinsed out the teapot and put in 4 full spoons of tea, tilting the kettle then to let the water flow in. Having set it to draw, he took off the kettle, crushed the pan flat on the live coals, and watched the lump of butter slide and melt. While he unwrapped the kidney, the cat mewed hungrily against him. He let the blood-smeared paper fall to her and dropped the kidney in the sizzling butter sauce. The tea was drawn. He filled his own moustache cup, sham-crowned Derby, smiling. Silly Millie's birthday gift. Only 5 she was then. No, wait, 4. He smiled, pouring. "Oh, Millie Bloom, you are my darling. You are my looking-glass from night to morning." Nudging the door open with his knee, he carried the tray in and set it on the chair by the bedhead. "What a time you wear," she said. She set the brasses jingling as she raised herself briskly, an elbow on the pillow. A strip of torn envelope peeped from under the dimpled pillow. In the act of going, he stayed to straighten the bedspread. Who was the letter from?" he asked. "Oh, Boylan," she said. "He's bringing the programme." "What are you singing?" "La Chi Durem with J.C. Doyle," she said, "and Love's Old Sweet Song." She doubled a slice of bread into her mouth, asking, "What time was the funeral?" 11, I think. I didn't see the paper. Following the pointing of her finger, he took up a leg of her soiled drawers from the bed. "No, that book, it must have fell down." The book, fallen, sprawled against the bulge of the orange-keyed chamber pot. "So here," she said, "I put a mark in it. There's a word I wanted to ask you." She swallowed a draught of tea from a cup, held by non-handle, and having wiped her fingertips smartly on the blanket, began to search the text with a hairpin till she reached the word. Met him pike hoses. Met him what? He asked. Here, what does this mean? He leant forward and read near her polished thumbnail. Metempsychosis. Yeah, who's he when he's at home? Metempsychosis, he said, frowning. It's Greek, from the Greek. That means the transmigration of souls. Oh, rocks, tell us in plain words. He smiled, glancing askance at her mocking eyes. The same young eyes. The first night after the charades. Dolphin's Barn. He turned over the smudged pages. Ruby, the pride of the ring. Hello, illustration. Fierce Italian with carriage whip. Must be Ruby, pride of the on the floor naked. The monster Maffei desisted and flung his victim from him with an oath. Did you finish reading it? He asked. Yes. Do you want another? Yes, get another of Paul de Kock's. Nice name he has. The bath of the nymph over the bed. Given away with the Easter number of photo bits. Splendid masterpiece in art colours. 3 and 6 I gave for the frame. He turned the pages back. Metempsychosis, he said, is what the ancient Greeks called it. They used to believe you could be changed into an animal or a tree, for instance, what they called nymphs, for example. Her spoon ceased to stir up the sugar. She gazed straight before her, inhaling through her arched nostrils. There's a smell of burn. Did you leave anything on the fire? The kidney, he cried. He fitted the book roughly into his inner pocket and, stubbing his toe against the broken commode, hurried out towards the smell. Pungent smoke shot up in an angry jet from the side of the pan. By prodding a prong of the fork under the kidney, he detached it and turned it turtle on its back. Only a little burnt. He tossed it off the pan onto a plate and let the scanty brown gravy trickle over it. Cup of tea now. He sat down, cut and buttered a slice of loaf. He shored away the burnt flesh and flung it to the cat. Then he put a forkful into his mouth, chewing with discernment the toothsome, pliant meat. Done to a turn. A mouthful of tea. He creased out the letter at his side, reading it as he chewed. Dearest Papley, thanks ever so much for the lovely birthday present. It suits me splendid. I'm getting on swimming in the photo business now. Mr. Coughlin took one of me and Mrs. We'll send when developed. We did great biz yesterday. There's a young student comes here some evenings named Bannon. His cousins or something are big swells and he sings Boylan's. I was on the pop of writing Blazes Boylan's song about those seaside girls. Tell him Silly Millie sends her best respects. I must now close with fondest love, your fond daughter, Millie. 15 yesterday. Curious. 15th of the month, too. Her first birthday away from home. Separation. Remember the summer morning she was born, running to knock up Mrs. Thornton in Denzil Street. Jolly old woman. Not a baby she must have helped into the world. She knew from the first poor little Rudy wouldn't live. Well, God is good, sir. She knew at once. He would be 11 now if he had lived. He felt heavy, full. Then a gentle loosening of his bowels. He stood up, undoing the waistband of his trousers. The cat mewed to him. Meow, he said in answer. A paper. He liked to read at stool. In the table drawer he found an old copy of Titbits. He folded it under his armpit and went to the door and opened it. He went out through the back door into the garden. Fine morning. He kicked open the crazy door of the Jakes. Better be careful not to get these trousers dirty for the funeral. The king was in his counting-house. A squat on the cuckstool, he folded out his paper, turning its pages over on his bared knees. Our prize titbit, Matcham's Master Stroke. Written by Mr. Philip Beaufoy, Playgoers Club, London. Payment at the rate of £1 a column has been made to the writer. £3.50, £3, £3, 13 6. Quietly he read. Midway, his resistance yielding, he allowed his bowels to ease themselves quietly as he read, reading still patiently, that slight constipation of yesterday quite gone. He read on, seated calm above his own rising smell. He envied kindly Mr. Beaufoy, who had written it, and received payment of £3, 13 6. Might manage a sketch by Mr. and Mrs. L. Bloom. Invent a story for some proverb. Which? Time I used to try jotting down on my cuff what she said dressing. Timing her. 9:15. Did Roberts pay you yet? 9:20. What had Greta Conroy on? 9:23. What possessed me to buy this comb? 9:24. I'm swell, be that cabbage. He tore away half the prize story sharply and wiped himself with it. Then he girded up his trousers, braced and buttoned himself. What time is the funeral? Better find out in the paper. A creak and dark whir in the air high up. The bells of George's church. They tolled the hour. Loud, dark iron. Hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho. 2:45. There again, the overtone following through the air. A third. Poor Dignam. By lorries along Sir John Rogerson's quay, Mr. Bloom walked soberly past Windmill Lane. A small girl with scars of eczema on her forehead eyed him listlessly, holding her battered cask hoop. And past O'Neill's, the undertaker. At 11 it is, time enough. Dare say Corny Kelleher bagged the job for them. In Westland Row, he halted before the window of the Belfast and Oriental Tea Company and read the legends of the lead-papered packets. Choice blend, finest quality, family tea. The Far East. Lovely spot it must be, the garden of the world. Big lazy leaves to float about on, cactuses, flowery meads. Where was the chap I saw in a picture somewhere? Ah, yes, in the Dead Sea, floating on his back, reading a book with a parasol. Couldn't sink if you tried. So thick with salt, because the weight of the water, no, the weight of the body in the water is equal to the what? It's a law, something like that. 32 feet per second per second. It's the force of gravity of the earth is the weight. He turned away and sauntered across the road. As he walked, he took the folded Freeman from his side pocket, unfolded it, rolled it lengthwise in a baton, and tapped it at each sauntering step against his trouser leg. From the curbstone he darted a keen glance through the door of the post office. Post here. No one. In. He handed the card through the brass grill. Are there any letters for me? While the postmistress searched a pigeonhole, he gazed at the recruiting poster with soldiers of all arms on parade. No answer, probably. Went too far last time. The postmistress handed him back through the grill his card with a letter. He thanked her and glanced rapidly at the typed envelope. Henry Flower, Esquire, care of P.O. Western Row City. Answer, anyhow. He slipped card and letter into his side pocket, reviewing again the soldiers on parade. Where's old Tweedy's regiment? There it is. He strolled out of the post office and turned to the right. His fingers drew forth the letter. Something pinned on. Photo, perhaps. Hair? No. Hello, Bloom. Where are you off to? Poor Dignam, you know. The funeral is today. Ah, to be sure, poor fella. Mr. Bloom went on round the corner. He unrolled the newspaper baton idly and read idly, "What is a home without Plumtree's potted meat? Incomplete. With it, an abode of bliss." Mr. Bloom turned into Cumberland Terrace and, going on some paces, halted in the lee of the station wall. No one. He opened the letter within the newspaper. A flower. I think it's a yellow flower with flattened petals. Not annoyed, then. What does she say? Dear Henry, I got your last letter to me and thank you very much for it. I'm sorry you did not like my last letter. Why did you enclose the stamps? I'm awfully angry with you. I do wish I could punish you for that. I called you naughty boy because I do not like that other world. Please tell me what is the real meaning of that word. Are you not happy in your home, you poor little naughty boy? I do wish I could do something for you. I often think of the beautiful name you have. Dear Henry, when will we meet? I think of you so often, you've no idea. Please write me a long letter and tell me more. Remember, if you do not, I will punish you. Do not deny my request before my patients are exhausted. Goodbye now, naughty darling. I have such a bad headache today, and write my return to your longing, Martha. P.S. Do tell me what kind of perfume does your wife use? I want to know. XX, XX. He tore the flower gravely from its pinhold, smelt its almost no smell, and placed it in his heart pocket. Language of flowers. Such a bad headache. Has her roses, probably. Or sitting all day typing. Eye focus bad for stomach nerves. What perfume does your wife use? Now, could you make out a thing like that? Going under the railway arch, he took out the envelope, tore it swiftly into shreds, and scattered them towards the road. The shreds fluttered away, sank in the damp air. A white flutter, then all sank. Henry Flower. How goes the time? 1:15. Oh, time enough yet. Better get that lotion made up. Where is this? Ah, yes, Sweeney's in Lincoln Place. He walked southward along Westland Row. Ah, but the recipe is in the other trousers. Oh, and I forgot the latchkey, too. Bore, this funeral affair. Oh, well, poor fellow, it's not his fault. When was it I got it made up last? First of the month it must have been, or the second. Oh, we can look it up in the prescriptions book. The chemist turned back page after page. About a fortnight ago, sir. Yes, Mr. Bloom said. Sweet almond oil and tincture of benzene, Mr. Bloom said, and then orange flower water. It certainly did make her skin so delicate white, like wax. And white wax also, he said. What perfume does your... Nice smell these soaps have. Pure curd soap. Time to get a bath round the corner. Hammam, Turkish, massage. Dirt gets rolled up in your navel. Nicer if a nice girl did it. Yes, sir, the chemist said. That was 2 and 9. Have you brought a bottle? No, make it up, please. I'll call later in the day. And I'll take one of these soaps. How much are they? 4pence, sir. You can pay all together, sir, when you come back. He strolled out of the shop, the newspaper baton under his armpit, the cool wrapped soap in his left hand. At his armpit, Bantam Lyon's voice and hand said, Hello, Bloom. What's the best news? Is that today's? Show us a minute. Bantam Lyon's yellow black-nailed fingers unrolled the baton. I want to see about that French horse that's running today. Where the bugger is it? He rustled the pleated pages. You can keep it, Mr. Bloom said. Ask at Gold Cop, half a mo. I was just going to throw it away, Mr. Bloom said. Bantam Lyons raised his eyes suddenly and leered weakly. I'll risk it, he said. Thanks. He sped off towards Conway's Corner. Mr. Bloom walked cheerfully towards the Mosque of the Baths. Remind you of a mosque, red-baked bricks, the minarets. Enjoy a bath now. Clean trough of water, cool enamel, the gentle, tepid stream. This is my body. He foresaw his pale body reclined in it at full, naked, in a womb of warmth, oiled by scented soap, softly laved. He saw his trunk and limbs rib-rippled over and sustained, buoyed lightly upward, lemon yellow, his navel bud of flesh, and saw the dark tangled curls of his bush floating hair of the stream round the limp father of thousands, a languid floating flower.
10 o'clock in the morning, Summerfield Lodge School, Sandycove.
You, Cochrane. What city sent for him? Tarentum, sir. Very good. Well, there was a battle, sir. Very good. Where? I forget the place, sir. 279 BC. Asculum, Stephen said, glancing at the name and date in the Gore-scarred book. Yes, sir. And he said, another victory like that and we are done for. That phrase the world remembered. A dull ease of the mind. From a hill above a corpse-strewn plain, a general speaking to his officers leaned upon his spear. Any general to any officers. You, Armstrong, Stephen said. What was the end of Pyrrhus? Pyrrhus, sir? Pyrrhus... appear. All laughed. Mirthless, high, malicious laughter. For them, too, history was a tale like any other, too often heard, their land a pawn shop. Had Pyrrhus not fallen by a beldame's hand in Argos, or Julius Caesar not been knifed to death, they are not to be thought away. Weave, weaver of the wind. Tell us a story, sir. Do, sir, a ghost story. After, Stephen said. Go on, Talbot. Stale, smoky air hung in the headmaster's study with the smell of drab, abraded leather of its chairs. As on the first day, he bargained with me here. As it was in the beginning, is now, world without end. A hasty step over the stone porch and in the corridor. Blowing out his rare moustache, Mr. Deasy halted at the table. First, our little financial settlement, he said. He brought out of his coat a pocket-book bound by a leather thong. It slapped open and he took from it 2 notes, one of joined halves, and laid them carefully on the table. 2, he said, strapping and stowing his pocket-book away. Thank you, sir, Stephen said, gathering the money together with shy haste and putting it all in a pocket of his trousers. Don't carry it like that, Mr. Deasy said. What does Shakespeare say? Put money in thy purse. Iago, Stephen murmured. He knew what money was, Mr. Deasy said. He made money. A poet, yes, but an Englishman too. Do you know what is the proudest word you will ever hear from an Englishman's mouth? The sea's ruler. His sea-cold eyes looked on the empty bay. It seems history is to blame. On me and on my words. On hating. That on his empire, Stephen said, the sun never sets. Bah! Mr. Deasy cried. That's not English. A French Celt said that. He tapped his savings box against his thumbnail. I will tell you, he said solemnly, what is his proudest boast. I paid my way. I never borrowed a shilling in my life. Can you feel that? I owe nothing. Can you? Mulligan, £9, 3 pairs of socks, 1 pair of brogues, ties. Curran, 10 guineas. McCann, 1 guinea. Fred Ryan, 2 shillings. Temple, 2 lunches. A.E., 1 guinea. For the moment, no, Stephen answered. Mr. Deasy stared sternly for some moments over the mantelpiece at the shapely bulk of a man in tartan philibegs. Albert Edward, Prince of Wales. You think me an old fogey and an old Tory, his thoughtful voice said. I saw 3 generations since O'Connell's time. I remember the famine in 46. Do you know that the Orange Lodges agitated for repeal of the Union 20 years before O'Connell did, or before the prelates of your communion denounced him as a demagogue? You Fenians forget some things. Glorious, pious and immortal memory. The Lodge of Diamond in Armagh, the splendid behung with the corpses of papishes. Horse, masked and armed, the Planters' Covenant. I have rebel blood in me too, Mr. Deasy said, on the spindle side. We are all Irish, all king's sons. Alas, Stephen said. That reminds me, Mr. Deasy said. You can do me a favour, Mr. Dedalus, with some of your literary friends. I have a letter here for the press. Sit down a moment. Shouts rang out from the boys' playfield and a whirring whistle. A goal. I'm among them, among their battling bodies in a medley, the joust of life. Now then, Mr. Deasy said, rising. He came to the table, pinning together his sheets. I have put the matter in a nutshell, Mr. Deasy said. It's about the foot and mouth disease. Just look through it. There can be no 2 opinions on the matter. May I trespass on your valuable space, the doctrine of laissez-faire, which so often in our history, our cattle trade, to come to the point at issue, foot and mouth disease, known as Koch's preparation, serum and virus, dictates of common sense, thanking you for the hospitality of your columns. I want that printed and read, Mr. Deasy said. You will see at the next outbreak they will put an embargo on Irish cattle, and it can be cured. I am trying to work up influence with the department. Now, I'm going to try publicity. I am surrounded by difficulties, by intrigues, by backstairs influence, by... Mark my words, Mr. Dedalus. England is in the hands of the Jews. In all the highest places, her finance, her press, old England is dying. They sinned against the light, Mr. Deasy said gravely, and that is why they are the wanderers on the earth to this day. Who has not? Stephen said. History is a nightmare from which I am trying to awake. From the playfield the boys raised a shout, a whirring whistle. Goal. The ways of the Creator are not our ways, Mr. Deasy said. All human history moves towards one great goal, the manifestation of God. Stephen jerked his thumb towards the window, saying, "That is God." "Hooray! Aye! Hurree!" "What?" Mr. Deasy said. "A shout in the street," Stephen answered, shrugging his shoulders. Mr. Deasy looked down and held for a while the wings of his nose tweaked between his fingers. Looking up again, he set them free. "I am happier than you are," he said. "We have committed many errors and many sins. A woman brought sin into the world. For a woman who was no better than she should be, Helen, the runaway wife of Menelaus, 10 years the Greeks made war on Troy. A woman, too, brought Parnello. I am a struggler now at the end of my days, but I will fight for the right till the end. For Ulster will fight, and Ulster will be right." Stephen raised the sheets in his hand. "I foresee," Mr. Deasy said, "that you will not remain very long at this work. You were not born to be a teacher, I think. Perhaps I'm wrong." "A learner, rather," Stephen said. He rustled the sheets again. "Yes," Mr. Deasy said, "you have 2 copies there, if you can have them published at once. Telegraph, Irish Homestead." "I will try," Stephen said, "and let you know tomorrow. I know 2 editors slightly." He went out by the open porch and down the gravel path under the trees, hearing the cries of voices from the playfield. "Still I will help him in his fight. Mulligan will dub me a new name, the bullock-befriending bard. Mr. Dedalus!" "Running after me. No more letters, I hope." Mr. Deasy halted, breathing hard and swallowing his breath. "I just wanted to say," he said, "Ireland, they say, has the honour of being the only country which never persecuted the Jews. Do you know that?" "No." "And do you know why?" He frowned sternly on the bright air. "Why, sir?" Stephen asked, beginning to smile. "Because she never let them in," Mr. Deasy said solemnly. A cough ball of laughter leapt from his throat, dragging after it a rattling chain of phlegm. He turned back quickly, coughing, laughing, his lifted arms raised in the air. Ineluctable modality of the visible. Signatures of things I'm here to read. Sea spawn and sea wrack. The nearing tide. Stephen closed his eyes to hear his boots crush crackling wrack and shells. Am I walking into eternity along Sandymount Strand? Crush, crack, crick, crick. Won't you come to Sandymount, Madeline the mare? Open your eyes now. I will. See now. They came down the steps from Leahy's terrace prudently, and down the shelving shore flabbily, their splayed feet sinking in the silted sand. Number 1 swung lordily her midwife's bag, the other's gamp poked in the beach. From the Liberties, out for the day. Mrs. Florence McCabe, relict of the late Patrick McCabe, deeply lamented of Bride Street. One of her sisterhood dragged me squealing into life. Creation from nothing. I mustn't forget his letter for the press. And after, the ship, 12:30. His pace slackened. Am I going to Aunt Sarah's or not? My consubstantial father's voice. Sure he's not down in Strasbourg Terrace with his Aunt Sally. Couldn't he fly a bit higher than that, eh? Oh, weeping God, the things I married into. The grainy sand had gone from under his feet. His boots trod again a damp crackling mast. Razor shells, squeaking pebbles, that on the unnumbered pebbles beats. Wood sieved by the shipworm, lost armada. Unwholesome sandflats waited to suck his treading soles, breathing upwards sewage breath. He coasted them, walking warily. A porter bottle stood up, stogged to its waist in the cakey sand dough. He halted. I have passed the way to Aunt Sarah's. Am I not going there? Seems not. No one about. He turned northeast and crossed the Firmus sand towards the pigeon house. My Latin Quarter hat. God, we simply must dress the character. You were a student, weren't you? Just say in the most natural tone, when I was in Paris, Boulmiche, I used to. You were going to do wonders. What? Missionary to Europe after fiery Columbanus? Pretending to speak broken English as you dragged your valise, porter threepence across the slimy pier at Newhaven, a blue French telegram, mother dying, come home, father. The aunt thinks you killed your mother, that's why she won't. Then here's a health to Mulligan's aunt, and I'll tell you the reason why. She always kept things decent in the Hannigan family. He had come near the edge of the sea, and wet sand slapped his boots. He stood suddenly, his feet beginning to sink slowly in the quaking soil. Turn back. Turning, he scanned the shore south, his feet sinking again slowly in new sockets. The cold, domed room of the tower waits. He is the key. I will not sleep there when night comes. A shut door of a silent tower entombing their blind bodies. The panther's sab and his pointer. He lifted his feet up from the sock and turned back by the mole of boulders. A bloated carcass of a dog lay lolled on the bladder rack. A point, live dog grew into sight, running across the sweep of sand. Lord, is he going to attack me? Respect his liberty. You will not be master of others or a slave. I have my stick. Sit tight. From farther away, walking shoreward. Figures, too. The dog is running back to them. Who? The dog's bark ran towards him, stopped, ran back. Dog of my enemy. A primrose doublet, fortune's knave, smiled on my fear. Mulligan saved men from drowning, and you shake at a cur yelping. Would you do what he did? Would you or would you not? The man that was drowned 9 days ago off Maiden's Rock. They're waiting for him now. The truth, spit it out. I would want to. I would try. I'm not a strong swimmer. Water, cold, soft. I want his life still to be his, mine to be mine. A drowning man. His human eyes screamed to me out of horror of his death. I could not save her. Waters, bitter death, lost. A woman and a man. I see her skirties. Pinned up, I bet. Their dog ambled about on a bank of dwindling sand, trotting, sniffing on all sides, looking for something lost in a past life. At the lace fringe of the tide he halted with stiff forehoofs, seaward-pointed ears. His snout lifted, barked at the wave noise. Cockle-pickers. They waded a little way in the water and, stooping, soused their bags and, lifting them again, waded out. The dog yelped, running to them. The carcass lay on his path. He stopped, sniffed, stalked round it. Brother. Nosing closer, went round it, sniffing rapidly like a dog all over the dead dog's bedraggled fell. Tatters! Out of that, you mongrel! The cry brought him skulking back to his master, and a blunt bootless kick sent him unscathed across a spit of sand, crouched in flight. He slunk back in a curve. Don't see me. Along by the edge of the mole he lolloped, dawdled, smelt a rock, and from under a cocked hind leg pissed against it. The simple pleasures of the poor. After he woke me last night. Same dream, or was it? Wait. Open hallway. Street of harlots. Remember. Shouldering their bags, they trudged the red Egyptians. His blued feet out of turned-up trousers slapped the clammy sand. With woman's steps she followed. The ruffian and his strolling mort. Spoils slung at her back. About her wind-raw face hair trailed. When night hides her body's flaws, calling under her brown shawl from an archway where dogs have mired. A she-fiend's whiteness under her rancid rag. Fumbly's lane that night. The tanyard smells. Behold the handmaid of the moon. He comes, pale vampire through storm, his eyes, his bat sails bloodying the sea, mouth to her mouth's kiss. Here, my tablets. Mouth to her kiss. No, must be two of them. Glue 'em well. Mouth to her mouth's kiss. Paper? Ulysses' letter. Thanking you for your hospitality. Tear the blank end off. Turning his back to the sun, he bent over far to a table of rock and scribbled words. He lay back at full stretch over the sharp rocks, cramming the scribbled note and pencil into a pocket, his hat tilted down on his eyes. Under its leaf he watched the southing sun. I am caught in this burning scene. Pan's hour, the faunal noon. And no more turn aside and brood. His gaze brooded on the broad-toed boots, a buck's cast-offs. He counted the creases of rucked leather wherein another's foot had nested warm. In long lassos from the Cock Lake the water flowed full, covering green goldenly lagoons of sand, rising, flowing. My ash plant will float away. I shall wait. No, they will pass on, passing. Better get this job over quick. Listen. A four-worded wave speech. Si su hirs is si sus. In cups of rocks it slops, flop, slop, slap. And spent its speech ceases. It flows purling, widely flowing, floating, foam pool, flower unfurling. Under the upswelling tide he saw the writhing weeds lift languidly and sway reluctant arms, hising up their petticoats, in whispering water swaying, and upturning coy silver fronds. Day by day, night by night, lifted, flooded, and let fall. Lord, they are weary. 5 fathoms out there. Full fathom 5 thy father lies. At 1, he said. Found drowned. High water at Dublin bar, a corpse rising salt-white from the undertow. There he is, hook it quick. Pull. We have him. Easy now. Bag of corpse gas sopping in foul brine. A sea change, this. Brown eyes become salt blue. Sea death, mildest of all deaths known to man. Old Father Ocean. Where? To evening lands. Evening will find itself. Yes, all days make their end. My handkerchief, did I take it back? His hand groped vainly in his pockets. No, I didn't. Better buy one. He laid the dry snot picked from his nostril on a ledge of rock carefully. Behind? Perhaps there is someone. He turned his face over a shoulder, rear regardant. Moving through the air, high spars of a 3-master, her sails brailed up on the cross trees, homing upstream, silently moving, a silent ship.
"10:30 in the morning. Outside 9 Newbridge Avenue, Sandymount."
Martin Cunningham first poked his silk-hatted head into the creaking carriage and, entering deftly, seated himself. Mr. Parr stepped in after him, curving his height with care. "Come on, Simon." "After you," Mr. Bloom said. Mr. Dedalus Sr. covered himself quickly and got in, saying, "Yes, yes." "Are we all here now?" Martin Cunningham asked. "Come along, Bloom." Mr. Bloom entered and sat in the vacant place. He pulled the door to after him and slammed it twice till it shut tight. He passed an arm through the arm strap and looked seriously from the open carriage window at the lowered blinds of the avenue. One dragged aside, an old woman peeping, nose white flattened against the pane. Thanking her stars, she was passed over. Extraordinary the interest they take in a corpse, slop about in slipper-slappers for fear he'd wake. Then, getting it ready, laying it out. Molly and Mrs. Fleming making the bed. All waited, nothing was said. All waited. Then wheels were heard from in front, turning, then nearer, then horses' hooves. A jolt, their carriage began to move, creaking and swaying. Other hooves and creaking wheels started behind. The blinds of the avenue passed, and number 9 with its crepe knocker, door ajar, at walking pace. All watched a while through their windows, caps and hats lifted by passers. Respect. The carriage swerved from the tram track to the smoother road past Watery Lane. Mr. Bloom at gaze saw a lithe young man clad in mourning, a wide hat. "There's a friend of yours gone by, Dedalus." "Who is that?" "Stephen, your son and heir." "Where is he?" Mr. Dedalus said, stretching over across. "Was that Mulligan cad with him? His feed is a cat, he's—" "No," Mr. Bloom said, "he was alone." "He's in with a low-down crowd," Mr. Dedalus snarled. "That Mulligan is a contaminated, bloody, double-dyed ruffian by all accounts. His name stinks all over Dublin." Mr. Bloom glanced from his angry moustache to Mr. Power's mild face, and Martin Cunningham's eyes and beard gravely shaking. Noisy, self-willed man, full of his son. He's right. Something to hand on. If Rudy had lived, see him grow up, hear his voice in the house, walking beside Molly in a Neaton suit. My son, me in his eyes. Strange feeling it would be. "Where are we?" Mr. Bloom put his head out of the window. "The Grand Canal," he said. A raindrop spat on his hat. He drew back and saw an instant of shower sprayed dots over the grey flags. "The weather's changing," he said. Mr. Dedalus, peering through his glasses towards the pale sun, hurled a mute curse at the sky. "It's as uncertain as a child's bottom," he said. I torn up the envelope. Yes. Where did I put her letter after I read it in the bath? He patted his waistcoat pocket. There, all right. Before my patients are exhausted. National School, Meads Yard, Sir Philip Crampton's memorial fountain bust. Who was he? "How do you do?" Martin Cunningham said, raising his palm to his brow in salute. "He doesn't see us," Mr. Power said. "Yes, he does. How do you do?" "Who?" Mr. Dedalus asked. "Blazes boiling. There he is, airing his quiff." Mr. Dedalus bent across to salute. From the door of the Red Bank, the white disk of a straw hat flashed reply. Spruce figure. Passed. Mr. Bloom reviewed the nails of his left hand. The nails, yes. Is there anything more in him that she sees? Fascination. Worst man in Dublin. That keeps him alive. Mr. Power asked, "How's the concert tour getting on, Bloom?" "Oh, very well," Mr. Bloom said. "I hear great accounts of it. It's a good idea, you see. Are you going yourself?" "Well, no," Mr. Bloom said. "In point of fact, I have to go down to the County Clare on some private business. Mary Anderson is up there now. Have you good artists?" "Louis Verner's touring her," Mr. Bloom said. "Oh, yes, we'll have all top nobbers. J.C. Doyle, John McCormick, I hope, and the best, in fact. And Madame," Mr. Power said, smiling, "last but not least." Mr. Bloom unclasped his hands in a gesture of soft politeness and clasped them. Martin Cunningham nudged Mr. Power. "Of the tribe of Reuben," he said. A tall, black-bearded figure, bent on a stick, stumping round the corner of Elvery's elephant house, showed them a curved, open hand on his spine. "In all his pristine beauty," Mr. Power said. Mr. Bloom began to speak with sudden eagerness to his companions' faces. "That's an awfully good one going the rounds about Reuben J. and the Sun." "About the boatman?" Mr. Power asked. "Yes, isn't that awfully good?" "What is that?" Mr. Dedalus said. "I didn't hear it." There was a girl in the case," Mr. Bloom began, "and he determined to send him to the Isle of Man out of harm's way, but Martin Cunningham thwarted his speech rudely. "Reuben J. and the Son were piking it down the quay next the river on their way to the Isle of Man boat, and the young chiseller suddenly got loose and over the wall with him and into the Liffey." "For God's sake," Mr. Dedalus exclaimed. "Is he dead?" "Dead?" Martin Cunningham cried. "Not he. A boatman got a pole and fished him out by the slack of his breeches, and he was landed up to the father on the quay more dead than alive. Half the town was there." "Yes," Mr. Bloom said, "but the funny part is, and Reuben J., Martin Cunningham said, gave the boatman a florin for saving his son's life, like a hero, a silver florin." "1 and 8pence too much," Mr. Dedalus said dryly. Mr. Power's laugh burst into the carriage. Nelson Spiller. 8 plums for a penny, 8 for a penny. We'd better look a little serious, Martin Cunningham said. Mr. Dedalus sighed. Ah, then indeed, he said, poor little Paddy wouldn't grudge us a laugh. Many a good one, he told himself. Lord forgive me, Mr. Power said, wiping his eyes with his fingers. Ah, poor Paddy. I little thought a week ago when I saw him last, and he was in his usual health, that I'd be driving after him like this. He's gone from us, as decent a little man as ever wore a hat, Mr. Dedalus said. He went very suddenly. Breakdown, Martin Cunningham said. Heart. He tapped his chest sadly. Blazing face, red hot. Too much John Barleycorn. Cure for a red nose, drink like the devil till it turns adolite. A lot of money he spent colouring it. Mr. Power gazed at the passing houses with rueful apprehension. He had a sudden death, poor fellow, he said. The best death, Mr. Bloom said. Their wide-open eyes looked at him. No suffering, he said. A moment and all is over, like dying in sleep. In the midst of life, Martin Cunningham said. But the worst of all, Mr. Power said, is the man who takes his own life. Martin Cunningham drew out his watch briskly, coughed, and put it back. The greatest disgrace to have in the family, Mr. Power added. Temporary insanity, of course, Martin Cunningham said decisively. We must take a charitable view of it. They say a man who does it is a coward, Mr. Dedalus said. It is not for us to judge, Martin Cunningham said. Mr. Bloom, about to speak, closed his lips again. Martin Cunningham's large eyes, looking away now. Sympathetic human man he is, intelligent, like Shakespeare's face, always a good word to say. He looked away from me, he knows. That afternoon at the inquest, the red-labelled bottle on the table, the coroner's sunlit ears, big and hairy, boots giving evidence. Thought he was asleep at first, then saw the yellow streaks on his face. Verdict, overdose, death by misadventure. The letter. For my son, Leopold. No more pain, wake no more. Nobody owns. Dumfries, Mr. Power announced as the carriage turned right. Dumfries Corner, mourning coaches drawn up, drowning their grief. A pause by the wayside. Tip-top position for a pub. Expect we'd pull up here on the way back to drink his health, pass round the consolation, elixir of life. In silence they drove along Phibsborough Road. An empty hearse trotted by, coming from the cemetery. Looks relieved. Crossguns Bridge, the Royal Canal. The high railings of Prospect rippled past their gaze. Dark poplars, rare white forms. Forms more frequent, white shapes thronged amid the trees, white forms and fragments streaming by, mutely sustaining vain gestures in the air. The felly harshed against the curbstone, stopped. Martin Cunningham put out his arm and, wrenching back the handle, shoved the door open with his knee. He stepped out. Mr. Power and Mr. Dedalus followed. Mr. Bloom's hand unbuttoned his hip pocket swiftly and transferred the soap to his inner handkerchief pocket. He followed his companions. Mr. Kernan and Ned Lambert followed, Hines walking after them. Corny Kelleher stood by the opened hearse and took out the 2 wreaths. He handed one to the boy. The mute shouldered the coffin and bore it through the gates. So much dead weight. First the stiff, then the friends of the stiff. Corny Kelleher and the boy followed with the wreaths. Who's that beside them? Ah, the brother-in-law. All walked after. Martin Cunningham whispered, I was in mortal agony with you talking about suicide before Bloom. What? Mr. Power whispered. How so? His father poisoned himself, Martin Cunningham whispered. At the Queen's Hotel in Ennis. You heard him say he was going to Clare. Anniversary. Oh, God, Mr. Power whispered. First I heard of it. Poisoned himself. He glanced behind him to where a face with dark, thinking eyes followed towards the Cardinal's mausoleum, speaking. Was he insured? Mr. Bloom asked. I believe so, Mr. Kernan answered, but the policy was heavily mortgaged. Martin is trying to get the youngster into Artane. How many children did he leave? 5. A sad case, 5 young children. A great blow to the poor wife. Martin is going to get a whip round for the youngsters, Ned Lambert said, pointing ahead. A few bob a skull, just to keep them going till the insurance is cleared up. Yes, Mr. Dedalus said dubiously. Is that the eldest boy in front? Yes, with the wife's brother. John Henry Menton is behind. He put his name down for a quid. I'd engage he did, Mr. Dedalus said. I often told poor Paddy he ought to mind that job. John Henry is not the worst in the world. How did he lose it? Ned Lambert asked. Liquor, what? Many a good man's fault, Mr. Dedalus said with a sigh. They halted about the door of the mortuary chapel. Mr. Bloom stood behind the boy with the wreath, looking down at his sleek-combed hair and at the slender, furrowed neck inside his brand-new collar. Poor boy. Was he there when the father... The mutes bore the coffin into the chapel. Which end is his head? After a moment he followed the others in, blinking in the screened light. The mourners knelt here and there in praying desks. Mr. Bloom fitted his black hat gently on his left knee and, holding its brim, bent over piously. A server bearing a brass bucket with something in it came out through a door. A white-smocked priest came after him, tidying his stole with one hand, balancing with the other a little book against his toad's belly. Who'll read the book? I said the rook. They halted by the bier, and the priest began to read out of his book with a fluent croak. Non intres in judicium cum servo tuo. Makes them feel important to be prayed over in Latin. My kneecap is hurting me. Ow. That's better. The priest took a stick with a knob at the end of it out of the boy's bucket and shook it over the coffin. Holy water that was, I expect. Shaking sleep out of it. He must be fed up with his job, shaking that thing over all the corpses they trot up. What harm if he could see when he was shaking it over? Every mortal day a fresh batch. All the year round he prayed the same thing over them all and shook water on top of them. Sleep. On Dignam now. In paradisum. Said he was going to paradise, or is in paradise. Says that over everybody. Tiresome kind of job. But he has to say something. The priest closed his book and went off, followed by the server. Corny Kelleher opened the side doors and the gravediggers came in, hoisted the coffin again, carried it out and shoved it on their cart. Corny Kelleher gave one wreath to the boy and one to the brother-in-law. All followed them out of the side doors into the mild grey air. Mr. Bloom came last. The ree, the ra, the ree, the ra, the roo. Lord, I mustn't lilt here. Her grave is over here, Jack, Mr. Dedalus said. I'll soon be stretched beside her. Let him take me when he likes. Breaking down, he began to weep to himself quietly, stumbling a little in his walk. Mr. Power took his arm. She's better where she is, he said kindly. I suppose so, Mr. Dedalus said with a weak gasp. I suppose she is in heaven, if there is a heaven. Sad occasions, Mr. Kernan began politely. Mr. Bloom closed his eyes and sadly twice bowed his head. Mr. Kernan added, the service of the Irish Church used in Mount Jerome is simpler, more impressive, I must say. Mr. Bloom gave a prudent assent. The language, of course, was another thing. Mr. Kernan said with solemnity, I am the resurrection and the life. That touches a man's inmost heart. It does, Mr. Bloom said. Your heart, perhaps. But what price the fellow in the 6 feet by 2 with his toes to the daisies? No touch in that. The resurrection and the life. Once you are dead. That last day idea. Knocking them all up out of their graves. Come forth, Lazarus. And he came fifth and lost the job. Get up, last day. Then every fellow mousing around for his liver and lights and the rest of his traps. Who is that chap behind with Tom Kernan? John Henry Menton asked. I know his face. Ned Lambert glanced back. Bloom, he said. Madam Marion Tweedy, the soprano. She's his wife. Oh, to be sure, John Henry Menton said. I haven't seen her for some time. She was a fine-looking woman. I danced with her 17 years ago at Matt Dillon's in Roundtown, and a good armful she was. What is he? What does he do? Wasn't he in the stationery line? I fell foul of him one evening, I remember, at Bowes. Ned Lambert smiled. Yes, he was. He sat in Wisdom Healy's, a traveller for blotting paper. In God's name, what did she marry a coon like that for? She'd plenty of game in her then. Still, Ed Lambert said. He does some canvassing for ads. John Henry Menton's large eyes stared ahead. The barrow turned into a side lane. A portly man, ambushed among the grasses, raised his hat in homage. "John O'Connell," Mr. Power said, pleased. "He never forgets a friend." Mr. O'Connell shook all their hands in silence. Mr. Dedalus said, "I'm come to pay another visit." "My dear Simon," the caretaker answered in a low voice, "I don't want your custom at all." Mr. Bloom admired the caretaker's prosperous bulk. All want to be on good terms with him. A decent fella, John O'Connell, real good sort. Wonder how he looks at life. Cracking his jokes, too, warms the cockles of his heart. Gravediggers in Hamlet. Shows the profound knowledge of the human heart. The barrow had ceased to trundle. The gravediggers bore the coffin and set its nose on the brink, looping the bands around it. Burying him. We come to bury Caesar. His Ides of March or June. He doesn't know who is here nor care. Now, who is that lanky-looking galoot over there in the mackintosh? Now, who is he, I'd like to know? I'd give a trifle to know who he is. Always someone you never dreamt of. Poor Dignam, his last lie on the earth in his box. Mr. Bloom stood far back, his hat in his hand, counting the bared heads. 12. I'm 13. No, the chap in the mackintosh is 13. Death's number. Where the deuce did he pop out of? He wasn't in the chapel, that I'll swear. Silly superstition about 13. The coffin dived out of sight, eased down by the men straddled on the grave trestles. They struggled up and out, and all uncovered. Pause. Gentle, sweet air blew round the bared heads in a whisper. Whisper. The boy at the grave's head held his wreath, with both hands staring quietly into the black open space. Mr. Bloom moved behind the portly, kindly caretaker. Must be damned unpleasant. Can't believe it at first. Mistake must be. Someone else. Try the house opposite. Wait, I wanted to. I haven't yet. Bam! He expires. We are praying now for the repose of his soul, hoping you're well and not in hell. Nice change of air. Out to the frying pan of life, into the fire of purgatory. Does he ever think of the whole wedding for himself, John O'Connell? Mine over there towards Finglas, the plot I bought. Mama, poor Mama, and little Rudy. The gravediggers took up their spades and flung heavy clods of clay in on the coffin. And if he was alive all the time, phew, by jingo. No, he's dead. Monday he died. They ought to have electric clock or telephone in the coffin. The clay fell softer. Begin to be forgotten. Out of sight, out of mind. Mr. Bloom put on his hat and saw the portly figure of the caretaker make its way deftly through the maze of graves. Quietly, sure of his ground, he traversed the dismal fields. Hines jotting down something in his notebook. Other names. But he knows them all. No coming to me. I'm just taking the names, Hines said below his breath. What is your Christian name? I'm not sure. L, Mr. Bloom said. Leopold. And tell us, Hines said, you know that fella in the fella was over there in the mackintosh? Yes, I saw him, Mr. Bloom said. Where is he now? Mackintosh, Hines said, scribbling. Is that his name? He moved away, looking about him. No, Mr. Bloom began, turning and stopping. I say Hines. He didn't hear. That fella, where does he disappear to? Not a sign, become invisible. Good Lord, what became of him? Clay, brown, damp, began to be seen in the hole. It rose, nearly over, all uncovered again for a few instants. The mourners moved away slowly without aim by devious paths. Mr. Bloom walked unheeded by saddened angels, crosses, broken pillars, family vaults, stone, hopes with upcast eyes. More sensible to spend the money on some charity for the living. Plant him and have done with him. A rattle of pebbles. Wait, stop. An obese grey rat toddled along the side of a crypt, moving the pebbles. An old stager, great-grandfather, he knows the ropes. The grey, alive, crushed itself under the plinth, wriggled itself under it. Tail gone now. One of those chaps would make short work of a fella, pick the bones clean. Wonder does the news go round whenever a fresh one is let down? Underground communication. Wouldn't be surprised. Got wind of Dignam. Last time I was here was Mrs. Sinico's funeral. Poor Papa, too. Give you the creeps after a bit. I will appear to you after death. My ghost will haunt you after death. There is another world after death called hell. I do not like that other world, she wrote. No more do I. Plenty to see and feel here yet. Martin Cunningham emerged from a side path, talking gravely. Solicitor, I think. I know his face. Menton, John Henry, solicitor. Dignam used to be in his office. Yes, Menton. Got his rag out that evening on the bowling green because I sailed inside him. Pure fluke of mine, the bias. Why he took such a rooted dislike to me. Hate at first sight. Oh, got a dinge in the side of his hat. Carriage, probably. Excuse me, sir, Mr. Bloom said beside them. They stopped. Your hat is a little crushed, Mr. Bloom said, pointing. John Henry Menton stared at him for an instant without moving. Yes, there, Martin Cunningham helped, pointing also. John Henry Menton took off his hat, bulged out the dinge, and jerked his head down in acknowledgement. Thank you, he said shortly. They walked on a few paces towards the gates. Mr. Bloom, chapfallen, drew behind a few paces so as not to overhear. Martin could wind a sappy head like that round his little finger. Thank you. How grand we are this morning.